Speaking of that, members of the Palestine Solidarity Alliance have also condemned attacks attacks against Palestinians in Gaza. The PSA has also come out against the United States, which continues to aid Israel in this ongoing conflict. Members of this organization, as well as residents of Lenasia, gathered in support of the families of those who were killed in the Middle East. Newzroom Afrika's Katleho Sekhotho is covering that leg of the big story for us, and she's live to us there from Lenasia. And there, again, Katleho, we had sentiment after sentiment, where essentially there was a lot of backlash against Israel and those who support the state of Israel, given what they've done around what's going on in the Middle East.
Indeed, Ayanda, it's been a day of solidarity by members of the PSA and the community of Lenasia at large, coming together really in their hundreds. I mean, it was a massive crowd that marched this morning, about a 2-kilometer radius around this stadium, and landed here where they heard the voices of speakers who've outlined their, solidarity and their sympathies with the lives lost in Gaza due to the ongoing conflict there. And the speakers taking the podium, a very emotive day, very emotional, you could see from many of those who spoke, in terms of, people who've lost loved ones, the really dire consequences and implications that this war is having. And yes, calling out to the state of Israel as an oppressive regime that continues to marginalize the people of Palestine. But I do have with me one of the speakers, Pamela Ngubane. She is a former Christian Zionist, to speak to us. I mean, Pamela, you took the podium earlier. A really interesting story you told there about being a former Christian Zionist and understanding the plight of the people of Palestine. Just tell me a little bit about your journey.
So I became a Christian Zionist after watching Christian programming, which claimed to be talking about the Hebrew and Jewish roots of Jesus and the Christian faith, but which actually was funneling the listener towards a support of Israel as the Jewish state. And it seemed innocuous because obviously we all know from the Bible that God chose the Israelites to be his people on earth, through whom he would bring his law, his way, and his government. But what has happened is that the Christian Zionists, they do not tell the truth to the people that they are recruiting through those channels and through their various organizations, what the truth of Israel is. So I found this truth out through doing my own research, and I realized I could not be a Christian Zionist because they undermine the gospel that Jesus teaches, that you must love your neighbor as yourself, and instead say you must bless Israel no matter what it does to anyone, so that God can bless you. But this is completely anathema. God is a God of justice, love, mercy, and peace. And there's no justice, love, mercy, and peace that Israel is showing to the Palestinian people. So I had to walk away.
Mm-hmm. And now, Pamela, in terms of the conflict itself, death and bloodshed being seen on both sides, and obviously one pointing at the other. What are your sentiments around this pointing at each other as to who's right and who is wrong?
Hamas took a decision to storm the border of Israel with Gaza. Now, their killing of civilians cannot be supported by anyone who is a follower of Jesus or any other religion of the one true God. So that is a very heartbreaking thing that happened for those Israeli and Jewish families to lose their loved ones. Nonetheless, we cannot discount the reason for this conflict. This conflict is because Israel ethnically cleansed Palestine of its people. Hundreds of villages now sit in ruins, Palestinian villages, and so cynically, the Jewish National Fund gets people to buy trees, Christians to buy trees, which they then plant over these villages to erase their memory. This is what the apartheid government did to Sophia Town and named that place Triumph. And this is what Israel is doing. They are triumphing over the people of Palestine by pretending that they are establishing a safe haven for Jewish people. Judaism is a religion of peace. Zionism is a political ideology that is based on the dispossession of the Palestinian people. So this is why I am speaking out against Christian Zionism, because Christian Zionism is not about God. It's about politics, and it's about the self-enrichment of those different pastors and organizations that support the state of Israel for their own selfish gain while misleading their followers away from the truth of God.
Thank you so much for your time, Pamela.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ayanda, you heard it there from Pamela Ngubane, just outlining very strong sentiments there as it relates to the injustices suffered by the people of Palestine at the hands of the Israeli state. And yes, so today has been about that, showing solidarity as a community of Lenasia and I guess the wider community in this area, and really outlining that they stand with the people of Palestine, acknowledging that there's been bloodshed on both sides, but that the reason behind this has been the continued injustice for a long period of time that the people of Palestine have suffered.
It's a sentiment also shared by the ANC. Katleho Sekhotho, thanks very much indeed. Live just there from Lenasia.